Okay guys, so let's focus on the seasonings that you're going to be seasoning your oxtails with. You're going to need some black pepper. You're going to need some ground Jamaican allspice. You're going to need some seasoned salt. If you can't find seasoned salt or you don't have any, you can use salt. You're going to need some onion powder. You're going to need some thyme. I do recommend that you go and use fresh thyme, but if you can't find fresh thyme, thyme seasoning would do just fine. And last but not least, garlic powder. So make sure you have all 6 of those seasonings. Okay folks, so now we're going to focus on the other ingredients you're going to need for your oxtails. You're going to need some Worcestershire sauce. You're going to need some olive oil. You're going to need some beef broth. If you don't have beef broth, you can use water because we're going to end up using a little bit of water anyway. You're going to need some minced garlic. Now, if you don't have minced garlic, you can chop up a garlic clove and that'll do the job, but I recommend that you use minced garlic. We're going to be using a little bit of ketchup. And you're going to need some browning and seasoning sauce, and that's going to darken the oxtails. And towards the end, we're going to be adding our butter beans. Now, some people like to use Gravy Master. That's a different brand of browning and seasoning sauce. So you can use this kind here, or you can use the Gravy Master. I don't know which one is better. I always use this one here, but if you don't have that, I guess you can use this one, Gravy Master. I guess it's the same thing, but I'm going to use this brand today since this is what I'm used to using. All right. Okay, and I'm also going to be using some iodized salt. I'm going to sprinkle this on my oxtails. I'm going to be using this along with water to clean the oxtails. I'm going to soak the oxtails in salt water solution for about a half an hour, rub them together really well, and get the residue off of the oxtails. So make sure you have some salt as well to clean the oxtails. If you don't have salt, you can use vinegar or lemon juice. Lemon juice and water, vinegar and water, or salt and water. But if you don't have salt, vinegar and lemon juice you can use as a substitution. Okay guys, so we're going to be using some vegetables. We're going to be putting some vegetables in our oxtails. You're going to need a tomato. If you don't want to chop up a tomato, just get a can of already diced tomatoes. You're going to be using some bell peppers. You can just get one green bell pepper. The only reason why I'm using different colors is for decoration purposes. I'm going to be using some scallions, some celery, and you're going to need 1 large onion. So make sure you have that. 1 large onion, celery, scallions, a tomato, and some bell peppers. Alright, so make sure you have all of those vegetables. A lot of people like to use carrots. You can add some carrots as well, but I'm not going to be adding any carrots today. These are just the vegetables I'm going to use. I don't usually put carrots in my oxtails anyway. So make sure you have all of those vegetables. Okay guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to clean our oxtails. So we're going to place the oxtails in this pot here. We're going to sprinkle some salt on them. We're going to let these soak in water for about half an hour. I recommend that you guys go out and try to find some bigger oxtails. I couldn't find no real thick big ones. I'm a little mad about that. But a lot of you were requesting that I do a video on how to make Jamaican style oxtails. So I just got what I could find. But you're going to rub these together like that. Rub them really well together like this. Get all that residue off of it. And just let them soak in the salt water for about a half an hour. Then we're going to rinse them off and move on to the next step. Okay guys, so now what we're going to do is we're going to cut our peppers, and I'm going to show you how to cut the bell peppers, even though most of you probably already know, but for those of you who don't know, I'm only going to be using about half of each. Not going to use many peppers at all. Going to get this out of it, obviously, so I'm going to slice it this way. Peel that part out. Slice the peppers down that way like that. Slice it the long way like that. Then I'm going to turn them around, slice them this way. Cut them into small pieces like this. If you have a chopper or a processor, you can chop your peppers up that way to get them pretty small. It's going to be sort of like a paste, but not quite. Okay, so you want your, that's how you chop your peppers, like that. So I'm going to chop the yellow one and the orange one. Okay guys, so we cut up our multicolored bell peppers. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut our tomato or tomato, depending on where you're from. And I'm only going to be using half of this tomato. Cut that down the middle there, just like that there. And I'm going to dice this into square pieces. And we're going to make the best, I said the best, Jamaican style oxtails that you ever tasted in your whole life. Don't nobody make Jamaican style oxtails like Philly Boy J. Nobody. I will pay you to find somebody that make oxtails like me. Don't nobody do it like me. I don't care who they are. Just not going to taste as good as mine. Okay, so I like my tomatoes to be a little chunky. I like things nice and chunky, by the way. So here's the way you want your tomatoes to look. Chop them up into squares like that. You don't put these in the processor. You want them to have some shape to them. And don't they look colorful, guys? Look really, really colorful. So again, you're only going to use half of the tomato or tomato. Like I said, depending on where you're from. I like the way tomatoes sound better, actually. And this is going to be our vegetable rainbow. Here we have our celery. I'm not going to use much celery. I am going to show you guys how to cut it an easier way. One of my subscribers told me about this. Slice it down the middle like that. A long way down the middle, just like that right there. Okay, then turn on this side here like this. You're going to cut it this way. Just like that. And I don't use much celery in my oxtails at all. So you're only going to need about that much there. Not going to even cut the rest of that. That's enough. Okay guys, so now I'm going to get my scallions. And I'm going to chop them up into small pieces like this right there. Like that. And what I do actually is I leave some whole like that. Okay, so I'm gonna move this down a little bit, and I'm gonna cut, last but not least, our large onion. If you don't like the tears that your onions cause, which I'm sure not many people like or enjoy that at all, what you're gonna do is you're gonna sit your onion in the freezer. Sit your onion in the freezer and cut it in half. And I guess the cold air or the moisture kills that. I don't know if they call it acid or whatever it is in the onion that causes us to cry. It reduces that significantly. So cut our onions like this. You don't have to cut them too small because all of this is going to shrink when it hits the heat. So we have our onions, our whole and chopped scallions, our celery, our tomatoes or tomatoes, and we have all our colorful bell peppers. Notice I didn't use a green bell pepper because we have green scallions and celery. Shake them really well and rinse them off. Get all that residue and funk off the oxtails. You want them to look nice and clean like that there. Cool, so now we're going to season these bad boys. Look real nice and clean, don't they? Okay, so here are our oxtails. Our clean, funkless oxtails. Got all that funk off and that residue. So we're going to season these bad boys now. And with my oxtails, I do tend to season them in a particular order. I'm going to show you guys in a minute. Okay guys, so we're going to get our Worcestershire sauce, and we're going to sprinkle that on our oxtails. Only going to use about 2 tablespoons worth. Okay. We're going to add our browning and seasoning sauce. Okay, about that much there. And that's what's going to give the oxtail some color. We're going to add a little bit of ketchup, about 2 tablespoons worth of ketchup. Okay. Okay, we're going to add our minced garlic now. Just a little bit of that. About that much there. And I'm going to rub all of this in, massage it into the oxtails. Okay. So it should look sort of like that right there. You guys can smell all that flavor in the air from the oxtails. Okay, so it should look like that so far. Okay guys, so now we're going to season the oxtails. I'm going to add my seasoned salt. You want to add about 2 tablespoons of seasoned salt, or salt if you don't have seasoned salt. I'm only going to use about a teaspoon worth of garlic powder. Teaspoon worth of pepper. I'm going to use about a tablespoon worth of allspice. Going to use some onion powder, small amount of that, about a teaspoon worth, and our thyme. I'm only going to use about a teaspoon worth of that as well. Don't use too much thyme, it's really strong. And we're going to add some of our chopped vegetables. We're going to add the red peppers, orange and yellow peppers, the celery and scallions, and the onions. For whatever reason, my people used to always add the tomatoes last for some reason. I don't know why, so I only add the tomatoes last when I add the butter beans. Okay, so I'm gonna get down and dirty again and stick my hands all up in this and massage it really well. And you're going to allow your oxtails to marinate in this season overnight, or for at least 8 hours. The longer the better. Okay. And they smell delicious. Okay guys, so there you go. There go your oxtails. I'm just gonna let these marinate overnight. That's how they look. Let's get a close up. Let's get a close up. Okay, so we're gonna place this over medium heat, so turn it on to about a 5, and we're gonna add about 2 tablespoons of oil to the pot. we're going to add our oxtails. Smells absolutely wonderful. So we're going to add the vegetables back. We're not going to add the beans until like the last few minutes. But I'm going to add the rest of my scallions and tomatoes now. So just add the tomatoes and some of the leftover vegetables that was left in the bowl. Just mix that in. We're gonna let this go for about another hour and a half, maybe. It should be done after that, because that'll be about, shoot, 5 hours. So you might need to add a little more water. I had to add a little more a few minutes ago, so I'm gonna let this continue cooking. And go a little longer. I'll get back with you guys when it's time to add the beans. Smells really, really good though. Smells delicious. Okay guys, so the oxtails are pretty tender. But I'm gonna let them go for like another 20 minutes. So since this is the last 20 minutes of cooking time, I'm going to go ahead and add the butter beans. I'm going to add them now. Our gravy thickened up. It's going to thicken up even more. A few minutes. Drained the beans, by the way. Jamaican Style Oxtails. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. The oxtails were really tender. The flavor was out of this world. Follow the instructions step by step. But yeah, man, they were extremely tender. As you can see there, the meat is extremely tender. I love the color and the gravy. Here's another thick one. All that meat right there. Love mine with rice, by the way. Guys, this is the die for. Jamaican style oxtails. Peace. So we're going to get our Worcestershire sauce. Okay. So we're going to get our Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire, yeah. So we're going to get our Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire. Worcester. 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 Worcester.
Chester, like Chester, PA.
Chester, PA. Okay, guys. So we're going to get our Worcestershire sauce, and